Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch. A low, resonant hum shivered through the desert morning. Silent Springs Basin, the heart of Nevada's wilderness, where the sky was lavender at first light. A blanket of dust lay over the land, stirred by an anticipatory breeze. At the center of the basin, half buried in cracked ochre earth, a gleaming drill rig stood sentinel. Its massive derrick, crowned with coils of cable and steel, rose skyward like a monument. Men and machines moved around it in calculated choreography, each step measured. It was, by local standards, a grand operation, $20,000 a day grand. Every drop of oil, every inch drilled, paid dividends. But today, anticipation lurked behind each face. A storm cell, rare for these parts, gathered overhead. Lightning crawled across the cloud ceilings. No one spoke of omens. The work schedule pressed on, relentless. And so, the day began with precise routine. Diesel engines roared to life. Tracks ground shafts in hardpan. Monitor screens flickered with subsurface readouts. The aim, a shallow aquifer, maybe, or gas pocket, something worth extracting. Every swipe of mud and slurry matched a rhythm, as constant as a heartbeat. By mid-morning, the first jolt of static electricity startled everyone. Monitor screens flickered. The air tasted charged. Fingers gripped steering wheels and control panels. A humming drone, far above, announced an incoming cumulonimbus. Somewhere, birds scattered. The storm edged closer, manifesting in distant cliffs silhouette across the basin. A black cloud, threaded with purple veins. Then came a long, low crack. Rolls of thunder murmured through the air like distant artillery. Morning shifted into a high-tension theater. Time slowed. Breaths drew deeper. Cables thrummed. The derrick's soundboard gave a soft clang. Somewhere deep, a nearby shaft hit unexpected hard rock. The driller leaned forward to steady the bit's rotation. In this hushed moment, the roar of internal combustion seemed distant. The sky darkened. The digital readouts beeped. Profit per drill day, upward movement. The rig buzzed with promise. Countless barrels, thousands of dollars. A cash register in reverse, money to ground. But the storm grew. Lightning flicked in the cloud base like a silent staccato. Without warning, a colossal bolt, a jagged white spear, sliced through the gloom. It struck, not the derrick, but the ground inches from a steel support of the rig. The ground rocked. Dust cascaded down the derrick's legs. The air shook. The safety alarm screamed. Radios sputtered with static. Diesel generators stalled. Drilling slowed. Hydraulics paused. Workers froze. Monitors blinked out. The earth responded. A deep vibration rolled beneath the rig, as though the planet sighed. An electrical pulse raced through the steel spine of the rig, jittering at joints and control arms. The derrick settled half an inch back into its foundation. Somewhere a pipe cracked. A hiss of escaping fluid, mud or water, spattered. Machinery whined as sensors detected the jolt. Data looped, correlating seismic spike and electromagnetic interference. Someone sprinted to the control hut. Fists hammered the door. A digital panel glowed with emergency shutdown sequences. One lever flicked. Another hummed. The rig's groan turned to a low mechanical sob. Outside, dust settled. The sun, hidden for so long, peeked through silver-gray filaments. The storm paused, as if catching its breath. Silence pressed in, echoing across the basin. No one spoke immediately. Jaw clenched, eyes searching for damage. Then, behind the hushed crew, a steady drip began. A fluid sheen spread across the tires of a crawler tractor. Not water, but mud and diesel. A leaking line, perhaps. Someone knelt, felt it. The smell tugged. A diesel mud hybrid. Driller crouched under the derrick, inspecting the supports. Lightning had forked and splintered across the metal, creating tiny fractures, like lightning's signature across chainmail. Not enough to collapse, yet enough to threaten structural integrity. Time resumed in hesitant pulses. Safety teams emerged. Inspections began. Cables tested, joint shear strength measured, ground anchors tension tested. Nothing spoken above repetitive calls. Check bolt torque. Hydraulics stable. Ground clear. Storm impact. All in clipped phrases. Meanwhile, a different group, eyes curious, voices restrained, walked southward toward the edge of an arid arroyo. There, near a rock bluff, they found scorch marks. Ground etched black where lightning had struck. But more than that, strange anomalies in the soil, glassy beads, fused silica, faintly opalescent. A small crater, rimmed with shock-melted rhyolite. A geologist, present for prospecting, bent to sift the grains. The beads glowed silver blue in sunlight, reminding of something extraterrestrial. Maps lay open. Well logs and aerosol starch sample data hinted at water pathways, microbial life, beads defied the expectations of any local substrate. They belonged to high-temperature, high-pressure events. Something unseen, almost alchemical, had occurred in seconds. Back at the rig, executives and field supervisors gathered. Insurance adjusters, walkie-talkies alive with static. Wires crisscrossed among laptops, assessing cost. Rig idle time, repairs, inspection men. A number flashed on a tablet screen. $20,000. Daily revenue lost if shut down. The storm threatened profit. Yet in the hush, the drill crew pressed on. No speech, no bravado. No fist pumps or triumph. Just focused movement. Pressure gauges, torque wrenches, remote cameras scanning shafts. The promise of water, gas, any yield, never far from their minds. At midday, the storm resumed its show. Once more, lightning slashed the sky in a silent tornado of white. Dust and wind overlaid the sight. Workers quickened. Safety lines engaged. The rig paused again. But this time, nobody touched controls. They watched. And the beats of money ticked on the monitors. Drilling paused. Drill day revenue paused. The cost became palpable. Lava blue beads, unearthed, revealed a geological curiosity, but so far not a commodity. The data suggested no hydrocarbons, but maybe geothermal energy. But that required further investment, not $20,000 per day, perhaps millions. As lunch break shadows lengthened, the storm finally moved on. The sun returned, and with it, a thin orange sliver of daylight. Equipment restarted. Drills ground anew. Hydraulic pumps rumbled. Monitors oscillated. The rig resumed its hum. Dawn's first rays filtered through a jagged gap in the clouds, the air crackling with static. Somewhere high above the rugged expanse of the Nevada desert, thunder rolled, low and rumbling, as if the earth itself was preparing to speak. On the outskirts of a ramshackle compound, more outpost, more shrine, stood a towering contraption, the $20,000 a day drill. It rose like an iron behemoth, its steel frame twisting skyward, hoses and cables coiling around it like tentacles. Every day it pierced deeper into the burning heart of the Modav, drilling into secrets that should have stayed buried. The Blind Frog Ranch, a name that matched its isolation, stretched away from the drill in every direction. Dry scrubland, skeletal juniper, burned-out ghost towns silhouetted against an indifferent horizon. No highways, no Loman's town closer than a forgotten crossroads, And yet this unremarkable site pulsed with something strange. Workers came and went in shuttles, people with sun-leathered skin, safety goggles sliding over eyes that never looked quite comfortable. They carried clipboards and whispered in winds that swallowed their words. They existed in patterns and shifts, more like ghosts than engineers. One day they were there, the next they were gone. Lightning. Always lightning. When clouds brewed somber and heavy, charging the air with an oppressive energy, the drill operators powered down. The site fell silent, save for the whisper of cooling metal and the hiss of steam. Then the lightning would come, surging, dancing tendrils, so bright they etched shadows into the darkness of night. Each strike ricocheted off the drill's mast, crackling through its frame, and sometimes hitting so close that air felt scorched and infants of ozone curled over the desert floor. Equipment glistened, menacing as though alive. A single bolt could ruin days of calculation, fry sensors calibrated for impossibly precise readings. Still, the drill stood firm, scared and lectured by each encounter with nature's fury. Word had spread of the drill's productivity, or was it futility? And the near misses. In brief flurries of media interest headlines titled "Lightning Nearly Hits $20,000 a Day Drill," when an electrical arch sprang across the top of the mast, sizzling and dancing along cables. Windshields cracked in support trucks, monitors shorted out, hard hats smoked. Remarkably, no human had been hurt. Less remarkable, rumors claimed that the drill had stopped yielding oil or water or silver or whatever borehole profit made sense. Rumors claimed something else. Down in the concrete-lined pit at the drill's base, a peculiar residue coated the walls. Goethite and jarosite, minerals tinged in red and yellow, that scientists said indicated acidity and oxidation. But here, these minerals seemed impossibly fresh. Walls glowed faintly in ultraviolet, crawling with pinpoints of metallic shimmer that defied explanation. Geologists in crisp white helmets frowned, whispering about microbial extremophiles, subterranean hydrothermal activity. But other watchers, the ones with heavy reputations to protect, called it an anomaly, something to be contained, catalogued, ignored.